An Angel Snogging a Devil by starrnobella. Summary. All Hermione and Theo needed was a little push. Thankfully, Pansy was there to give it to them. Hermione stared at her reflection in the mirror, taking in just how short the skirt of her costume was, and rolled her eyes as she turned back towards her bed. "It's too short," she huffed, moving to sit on the edge of her bed, carefully covering as much of her legs as possible. "I don't think it's short enough," Pansy laughed, shrugging her shoulders as she stepped in front of the mirror to look at her costume. Hermione watched as she hiked the hem of the skirt up a little shorter and readjusted her bra several times until satisfied. "Not all of us want to show every inch of skin that we possibly could show," Hermione sighed, pushing herself back up from the edge of the bed and standing beside Pansy in the mirror. "I could always show more," Pansy laughed, turning to press a kiss to Hermione's cheek, leaving behind a juicy red lip print. "Can't you just act normal for this one evening?" Hermione asked, grabbing a tissue from her desk and attempting to wipe away the lipstick on her cheek. "That's all I ask of you." "You're asking for a lot, then," Pansy replied, brushing past Hermione and grabbing her mobile off the bed. "Time for a quick selfie. And then I need to go to the party." Pansy held her mobile in the air and Hermione stepped up behind her, resting a hand on her shoulder. She stuck her tongue out as Pansy snapped a few pictures of them together. "You would try to ruin this picture, wouldn't you?" Pansy said, shaking her head as she flipped through the pictures on her device. "I think they're cute," Hermione said, shrugging her shoulders as she moved to grab her mobile off the nightstand. She picked it up and paused for a moment as she tried to slip it into a pocket and quickly remembered she didn't have one to do so with. With a heavy sigh, Hermione tucked the device into her bra and readjusted her halo. "We need to go before I decide to change." Pansy laughed, reaching for the doorknob and pulling the door open. "After you." Theo looked around the party and let out a sigh as he lifted a red solo cup to his lips, a hiss escaping as the fire whiskey burned its way down the back of his throat. The party was in full swing, but the host was still getting ready upstairs, or so he thought, until he caught sight of people coming down the stairs. "Finally," he mumbled, downing the last of his drink before pushing off the wall and making his way over to the bottom of the stairs. He waited for Pansy and Hermione at the bottom of the stairs, offering a hand to each of them to steady themselves as they stepped off the last step. "Thanks," Pansy said, waving a hand absent-mindedly behind her as she made her way into the party, leaving Hermione and Theo behind. Hermione gave him a once-over as a smile pulled at the corners of her lips. "Are you supposed to be the devil on someone's shoulder?" he asked, giggling as he reached up to run his fingers over his horns. "Only if you're supposed to be the angel on the other side." Theo laughed, nodding his head. "But whoever's shoulders we're supposed to be sitting on might be in a little trouble if we're over here." "Where did Pansy set her off to?" Hermione muttered, glancing around the crowded room. However, she realized quickly that it would be a wasted effort to try to find her now because several law officers were running around at the party. Hermione rolled her eyes and shook her head. "Never mind, she'll be fine, but I need something to drink." Theo offered her his arm, which she took gladly and allowed him to lead her deeper into the party. They brushed up against a few guests, offering a hello in passing, but soon stumbled upon the kitchen at the far side of the house. Hermione slipped her arm out of Theo's and moved to the counter on the far side of the room. Pressed up on her tiptoes, pulling open a cabinet door and extracting 2 glasses from the very top shelf. Theo watched carefully as the hem of her skirt kept inching higher and higher. There was no denying he had feelings for her since the moment they first met, but he was afraid to act on them. She had become a wonderful friend over the years to him, and he didn't want to jeopardize the bond they shared, especially if she didn't feel the same about him. "Where did it go?" Hermione mumbled, rummaging around in a different cupboard from where she pulled the glasses out. "I swear to Merlin, if she put it out for everyone, I'm going to kill her." "What are you looking for?" Theo asked, stepping up behind her and resting his hand against the small of her bag. "Maybe I can help." Hermione lowered herself back down from her tiptoes and turned around, leaning back against the counter. She looked up to see him smiling down at her. The hand that was against her back now was resting on the counter. Her heart started to beat a little bit faster when the scent of his cologne filled her nostrils. She liked being this close to him, although she wouldn't mind being a little closer, with a few fewer clothing items between them. "I need to test out a theory," Hermione said, tightening her eyes as she took a deep breath. If she was going to go through with this without a little extra liquid courage coursing through her, then she couldn't be looking directly at him. "Okay," Theo asked, studying her face. Whatever theory she wanted to test out must be a doozy if she couldn't even look at him. "It requires your assistance," she said, her fingers playing with the hem of her skirt. "Hermione," Theo whispered, looping a finger under her chin and lifting her head up gently. "Open your eyes." Hermione's eyes fluttered open with a sigh, and Theo looked at her with a soft smile. Every nerve in her body told her to pull away from him and run into the middle of the party, and she didn't need to test her theory out that badly. "What do you need my assistance with?" Theo asked, brushing his thumb against her jawline. "I need you to kiss me," she whispered, her eyes locking onto him as she waited for his response, her heart pounding in her chest. "I thought you'd never ask," Theo said, leaning down to softly press his lips to hers. His hands played out against her cheek, pulling her against him. Theo was the first one to pull away from the kiss, his hands resting against Hermione's hips. He leaned down and rested his forehead against hers. "Well, that answers that question." "What question is that?" Hermione asked, looking up at him as a smile pulled at the corners of her lips. "If you thought of me as more than just a friend," Theo said, pulling his head away from hers. "I've liked you for a really long time, Hermione." "I've liked you too, Theo," she said, wrapping her arms around his neck and pulling him into a hug. The sound of her throat clearing pulled them out of their happy little bubble. Hermione and Theo turned their heads towards the door and saw Pansy leaning up against the door frame. "I was wondering where you two scampered off to," she laughed, pushing away from the door and moving towards them. She grabbed the 2 glasses from the counter and spun back towards the door. "An angel snogging a devil," Pansy laughed, shaking her head. "It's about damn time." The end. Thank you for listening to this story by starrnobella. If you would like to stay up to date, don't forget to hit the little subscribe button, as the whole October will be filled with a lot of spookiness, Halloween fall-themed things, as fall and Halloween are my favorite seasons of the year. I'm really happy that you are part of this journey, and I would really love it if you would stick around for the rest of the month, and maybe for a little longer if you are interested in fanfiction and different pairings. Mainly we read Drarry and Hermione right now at this channel, but I always switch it up. I have rarer pairs. If you have an idea for a story that I could read, you can always message me either by email or write it into the comments, and I will try to get a hold of the authors and ask them if I can read their story. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm so glad you're here. I'll see you tomorrow.